Hey everyone, Bran here. Wow, it's been 2 months and 2 days, I guess, on testosterone. This is crazy. It's awesome. Guess we'll start with a testosterone update. Let's see. My voice is still deeper. I love it. I no longer feel like I'm sick or I've screamed my voice out. It's just kind of the new normal for me, which is awesome. I still can't really tell, like, if I wake up with like a sore throat, is it because of my voice changing or is it because I'm getting sick? But I'm okay with I'm not in a profession where it matters if I'm sick, so that's not a big deal. I mean, obviously I don't want to come into work coughing up a lung, but I'm not, so that's good. Let's see. Also, anger. I know there's kind of this perception that testosterone makes people angry. I don't really know why that is a perception. Maybe because people think men have road rage issues. I was super angry at the beginning of this week. I'm very confident it had nothing to do with my testosterone levels. Not this week, but the last week, I had a really low dosage of testosterone because I was running low. And this week I had the full dosage, and I was really angry before I had my testosterone shot when I had had a really low dosage, and I was really angry the day after. So, pretty confident that that's not the issue. I talked to my roommate about the thing that was getting me really angry, and we're all good now, and I'm happy, so that's that. In general, hormones don't really seem to affect my emotions that much. Maybe that's a weird thing to say, but I don't get particularly emotional around my period or anything like that. But yeah, that's that. Definitely going to be moving these videos to Sundays because clearly I am too busy on Saturdays. And I will continue to be too busy for at least the next month and a half, so I'm just going to own it and start posting these on Sundays instead. So yeah, that's that. Moving right along to the question of the week. Yes, question of the week. So the question of the week is, why does representation matter? Nobody explicitly asked me this question, but we kind of hinted at it in the last video when I was talking about why people might come out as lesbian, gay, or asexual. And I've also had conversations around this topic with people a couple of times in the past month, not necessarily all related to or being trans, but also related to mental health issues and stuff like that. So why does representation matter? The first reason is that it lets people know that their experiences are real and valid. So people's experiences are real. Seems kind of like a weird thing to say on some level because of course people's experiences are real. They experience them. And they exist without going off into a huge philosophical tangent. But if you don't know anybody else who has the same feelings and emotions as you, it's really hard to figure out what exactly you're feeling or experiencing. This is something that asexual people know very well, because if you don't experience sexual attraction, but everybody says everybody experiences sexual attraction, which is something that asexuality is not as well known as the other queer identities right now. Then you end up thinking to yourself, okay, sexual attraction. I must be sexually attracted to people because everybody says that everybody's sexually attracted to people. So, who am I sexually attracted to? And then you start going, well, I guess I like this person more than that person, so clearly that must be sexual attraction. Even if there's absolutely nothing sexual about the whole thing. And then, when you know that other people can feel a certain way, then you can actually evaluate it and go, there are people who aren't sexually attracted to people, and they feel the same way about certain people in their lives as I do about this person. Exactly the same. Well, you can't know that because you don't you can't feel somebody else's feelings for them, but you can make an educated guess, and then you can start to think, maybe this is valid. Maybe I really don't experience sexual attraction. It's not that you meet another asexual person and you instantly go, therefore I must be asexual. But it gives you an opportunity to reevaluate your own experiences through this possible lens, and see that, oh yes, I do feel this way, and I know that other people feel this way, and so I'm not alone. This happened to me around being trans as well. There was this person I met who is identifying as trans male, and that gave me the confidence to say, oh, okay, I've known I was trans, but now I feel more comfortable saying, yes, trans male, that's me. And then that person stopped identifying as trans, and I still was like super confident. I was like, this person didn't think they were trans male. Did I just think I was trans male because I saw someone else like that? No, I'm still super confident, 100%. No doubt in my mind. But that was great because it gave me the opportunity to reevaluate my experiences, understanding that this was possible, and realize more about who I was. Now, there's a difference, and this is why representation is important. There's a difference between knowing theoretically that somebody can be asexual or trans, and knowing, this is a specific asexual or trans individual, and that they're a real person, or like a realized fictional person. I've known the trans people. I knew that they were trans men, but it was in my mind it was so rare that was like the chances so low. There's no way that I fit into this incredibly small percentage-wise likelihood category. So that's part of why representation is important. Representation is also important because it shows people who don't identify with that particular group that particular group exists. So when I meet somebody and I say, hey, I'm trans, and they go, I've never met a trans man before. Suddenly I feel like I have to be on my best behavior because this is their first experience meeting a trans person. And every trans person after this that they see is their reaction is going to be affected by how they think of me. That's a lot of pressure. Whereas if I know somebody's met like dozens of trans people, I'm like, oh yeah, I like this guy, or like my cousin, then there's less pressure because I know they're not seeing me as the trans person, but they know that there's an entire plethora of trans people and they all have different experiences, and yes, some of them are good people and some of them are jerks. That's independent of their transness. And this is true for all minority groups. This isn't just true of trans people. Like, if you're the only woman in a math class, and you might be afraid that people will judge that, oh, if you're bad at math, all women will be bad at math, or something like that. Like, all of these are things that apply to pretty much every group of people that doesn't have representation. If we suddenly stopped having representation at all of straight white men, then straight white men would have these problems. But we have representation of straight white men. We have representation of lesbians and gays and bisexuals now in a lot of media, and that's really, really awesome. And lots of representation of trans women. We don't have nearly as much representation of trans men, which is another topic, which I can discuss at another time. So that's part of the reason that representation is important. Finally, it makes the world more realistic. If you're creating a fictional world and it doesn't conform to people's experiences, then they're going to have a hard time believing in that world. So this is something I see in superhero TV shows a lot, is the superhero TV shows, like, as much as I love Supergirl for its representation of like a really realistic experience of somebody coming out as a lesbian, for example, the show has like no Asian characters. And since I grew up in a world where there are lots of Asians, like the place where I live is like 50% non-white, and only 3% black, so there's mostly Asians and Indians, which is, I guess, also part of Asia, depending on if you consider it part of Asia or its own separate subcontinent. So when I watch Supergirl, I'm always going like, but this isn't realistic because there aren't a lot of Asians here. Yes, I know that, like, it's also not realistic because Supergirl can fly and shoot lasers out of her eyes, but I accept that as part of the story. I don't accept that there are no Asians. That's not a realistic fantasy thing. There's no fantasy explanation. They're supposed to be in basically the United States. And there's also, like, with so much media without trans characters, like, there are so few characters that I can identify with, and therefore, like, because their relationships don't have this underlying subcurrent, because none of the characters are affected by the kind of things that are very central to my life, I don't identify with these characters. And when I do find a character that I identify with, I will watch that, like, over and over and over again, because it's the one thing that I have. So the more representation, the better. This isn't just like a selfish thing, like, oh yes, I want lots of characters like me that I can identify with. I mean, yes, I do. But also, if you have a lot of characters that fit into a particular group, then you also have a lot more options with how you present each individual character, and each individual character can be a lot more human. If your show has only one lesbian character, or one gay character, or one trans character, or one Asian character, or one girl, or whatever, then that character has to stand as the archetype for all people of that group. You can't have that character do something that's like evil, because then you're villainizing the entire group, for example. But if you have lots of characters from that group, then each individual character is allowed to have their own flaws and their own strengths and their own little personality quirks without implying that this entire group is like that and making an offensive stereotype. One of my favorite book series, Pathfinder, is actually a role-playing game, but they have stories. They have tons of queer characters. And the great thing about this is that means they can have, like, super evil, villainous lesbian couple, because they also have, like, the super cute couple that's, like, just doing their own thing, and the, like, trans woman and her fiance who are saving the world from a demon horde. And because they have all of these characters, this evil, villainous lesbian couple isn't villainizing, like, all lesbians. It's just one set of characters in the world who happen to be lesbian. And that gives you so much more opportunity as an artist if you're not worried about insulting a particular group. So that's why representation matters. Next week I'll probably be talking about really good examples of trans men in media. So if you have any recommendations, I would love to hear them. I have a few standards that I always talk about, but I would always, always, always love to hear more people's recommendations. Or if you have an example of representation that's really important for you, whatever kind of representation that is, whether that's like a mentally ill character that has your particular mental illness that you really identified with, or like an Asian character in a movie that doesn't follow stereotypical Asian roles that you're like, yes, he or she or they is totally awesome and I totally identify with them, or whatever else that you're like, maybe it's you have this particular niche hobby that everybody thinks is weird and creepy, but then, like, there's a really awesome character who shows that that hobby isn't at all creepy. Dungeons and Dragons used to be called satanic, so there are tons of hobbies that people misinterpret. Whatever that is, I would love to hear about it. Or if you have any other questions, that would also be awesome. Bye!